Hey Mark, welcome to SPEEDGIG.
Hey, thanks so much.
You're welcome. So tell us, you are half teaching, half playing. What is your experience with this combination?
Well, I've been teaching at Berklee for about 12 years now, and working with various people, including Paquito de Rivera, Andy Narell, the Caribbean Jazz Project, and Oregon for about 17 years. So at first there was a bit of a conflict. Sometimes I'd be out for a long time, and if a student complains to the administration at Berklee, that's it. So I had to figure out what the balance was. And so the nice thing about Oregon is that we get to choose how long we want to work. And we usually choose about 2 weeks because that's a good amount of time to be out. And with Paquito, he doesn't have long tours. He has maybe a week at the most. And so that works out. So it's a little of this and a little of that. And teaching, I figure as long as the students are happy, as long as they're learning, as long as we're in touch, as long as the communication is there, like any relationship,
Okay.
it works out.
Okay, fine. So tell us, what is your musical background?
My musical background, I basically started like a lot of young kids playing rock and gravitated toward jazz and then later on Latin music. And I had the good fortune to play with a Brazilian group in Chicago, Brazilians from Porto Alegre. And I learned samba and baião and many other styles. And I started getting called for a lot of Latin things. And Paquito de Rivera came to town. We started working together and he taught me a lot. I also learned a lot from other people in the band. In particular, Oscar Stagnaro, the bass player. We learned about a lot of South American rhythms. And I learned a lot of Caribbean rhythms from Andy Narell, the steel band player. So it kind of expanded, and I kept getting calls for Latin. But I also made a living in Chicago as a studio musician, so I played a lot of rock and a lot of swing and this and that, and played a lot with a click track, signed a lot of forms. So it was a good all-around experience, and I think most of the groups I've worked with have done a little bit of this and that. So that includes Oregon, that includes Paquito, that includes pretty much everybody. It's really kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy playing different styles, wearing different hats.
Yeah. So you as a teacher, which kind of book do you recommend when you teach? Different ones or just one?
Yeah, I think different books for different needs. If you need to get your hands together, you can practice rudiments and practice some snare drum solos, because in the rudimental solos, the dynamics are just loud and soft, basically. And the orchestral books, like at Berklee, we use recital solos for snare drum by Garwood Whaley for the second level. That has a lot of press rolls and dynamics and shadings and different interpretations of rolls. So that's good. I mean, I think whatever you do, keep treating whatever you see in a book, keep it real. In other words, groove. You got to cook it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Because if it sounds too intellectual or too mechanical, it doesn't really mean anything.
Okay.
For reading, sometimes I've been giving pages from Jake Hanna's book called Syncopated Big Band Figures.
Okay.
It's very good. It's basically a series of drum solos with kicks.
Okay.
And it's a great way to use that. Also, sometimes I use Steve Houghton's book. It's an older book from the 80s called Studio and Big Band Drumming. There's a lot of good exercises in there. And, I have a book also. It's called World Jazz Drumming. It's published by Hal Leonard at Berklee Press. And it has a lot of South American and Caribbean rhythms, as well as some chapters on rock and jazz and reading. Kind of an all-around book.
So when you tour, how you survive touring? Is there something what you could recommend?
Lots of coffee. No. Well, I think for myself, I have to try not to overdo it on the food. That's one thing. But try not to starve either. And also get a little exercise in. I do exercise at home with a lot of core.
Yeah.
So I recommend doing that. And there's a lot of simple things you could do. You can look it up on the internet. There's tons of exercise videos on YouTube. And, you know, lots of good things to read and keep the relationship. It's easy to keep a good relationship with the instrument when you're on the road because you're playing every night. You can almost practice in your head. You know, you feel that feeling of being at the drums even when you're laying in the seat. But it's great. I love being on the road because we're all friends and we haven't seen each other for a while. So it's great to see each other and celebrate the successes and celebrate the failures, whatever they may be, and see friends on the road. So it kind of, the music sustains us the most out of anything. And that's the whole reason we do it.
Yeah, cool. What is or what was your favorite concert you played as a drummer?
Wow, that's a tough one. I don't know if I can narrow it down to just one, but
not maybe musical-wise, maybe the experience, audience-wise.
Okay. Well, I gotta say one of my favorite shows that I did, maybe not the favorite, but was working with a fantastic Brazilian singer and guitarist named Rosa Passos. We played a show in Uruguay, South America, and it was the first time I worked with her. And we just rehearsed a little bit, and her concept is fry the egg but don't break the yolk. So it's playing very softly but very intensely. And she would play the tune, she'd sing the tune. She was set up right in front of me. So I'm playing and she's just swinging like crazy. And then after a guitar solo, she sings the song again, but then she turns around to me and she starts displacing the phrasing. And it's like a little sparring match. And I was just drooling. It was so much fun. And it was so swinging. You know, there have been some concerts with Oregon that we've done where everything has clicked so much that we just can't believe it. And it's just so much fun to be in that moment. The only problem with that is, what about the next night? You know, it's probably not going to happen the same way. So you can't expect it to be that good all the time. You can try, but the reality is that we have, you know, we go in waves.
Like in life.
Yeah.
Life. So the last question, do you have a favorite CD, LP?
Oh, wow. Like, you know, tons of CDs and LPs are going through my mind. I don't know if I could pick just one. But, you know, I mean, I could give you maybe 10. One definitely would be Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. Maybe another would be Miles Davis, Milestones. I just saw the film Argo and heard Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks, maybe that record. Yeah. Because I used to listen to them quite a bit. Pretty much anything by Rosa Passos. A lot of Oregon stuff too. Some of the early stuff. I'm a big fan of the early music. Yeah, it's really. I wish I could answer that question, but it's just. No, it's fine. I can't think of one.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Okay, so thank you for the interview, Mark.
Thank you so much.
All the best. Take care.
All right. It's been a pleasure.